how did you enter into the industry?
Like most builders, started out as an apprentice carpenter.
What prompted you to want to make the switch from employee to going out on your own?
The kids were starting to basically ask questions about why can't you come to this, why can't you come to that?
What were you looking for when you joined?
We'd crept up to that, 1.2, 1.3 revenue. We're not massive, but we plateaued.
What's been most useful or insightful?
Probably the clarity on what we weren't doing, and then also looking at the gaps in between where we're losing money.
What has been your most expensive lesson in business?
Probably.
What are some of the biggest mindset shifts that you've been through?
But you can't do it all yourself. Giving up that control of that first 80% is always difficult.
What would your advice be to someone who's maybe plateaued?
I guess it's
All right. Welcome to the Builders Ladder podcast, where we interview members who are crushing it and people who are doing well in construction. And today I'm with Glen Stevenson from Stevenson Construction, based out of Melbourne. How you going, my man?
good, mate. Good.
So let's crack into things straight away. Tell us a little bit about how did you enter into the industry, and tell us a little bit about your background and the type of work and projects you do.
So like most builders, started out as an apprentice carpenter. Worked for a guy who did, a lot of architectural and historical renovations. Finished up with the apprenticeship, got into commercial side of things with John Holland, working on civil infrastructure. Worked my way up there to a site supervisor, and it was 12 years there working with them. Basically got to the point where it was either keep going with that career or do what I always wanted to do and build houses, and it was sort of the right timing with where we were, and
What prompted you to want to make the switch from A, employee to going out on your own, and B, civil to residential?
Well, residential was my background, and it's what I wanted to do. The civil, I'd sort of I wouldn't say got trapped in it, but I got comfortable in that role. And then we lived in WA for a couple of years over in Esperance on a project. The family moved over, and I noticed the kids were starting to basically ask questions about why can't you come to this? Why can't you come to that? And when that job finished, it was like the point in time to break with that and do what we wanted to do to sort of free up our time with the family. So
Awesome. So take me through that journey. How long ago did you start your company? And give us some milestones along the way to your growth and where you're at now.
So we moved back to Melbourne in 2014, and that's when we started up. I couldn't get registered straight away because I didn't have that portfolio required for the registration. So worked with some local builders and did a unit development with my father-in-law in the town where we live, Healesville. Had another builder who was close to us sign off on that, and that was really a good learning curve as well. Used a lot of their systems for that, which I've adopted. And then, got registered, I think it was 2019. And then, since then we've sort of been struggling with COVID and whatnot. And, that's why we came to TBV. So.
Yeah, you guys, unfortunately, were in the, similar to us, the lockdown capital of the world. Melbourne, along with New Zealand, Auckland was terrible.
Yeah.
So what were you looking for when you joined? And then what has been most useful or impactful, with regards to community, tools, resources, coaches?
So we basically, since I got registered, we'd crept up to that, 1.2, 1.3 revenue. We're not massive in what we do. We do mainly renovations, but we'd plateaued. And I guess Mel and I, my wife Mel, spoke with each other and just said, for the effort that we're putting in, we need to start seeing more in return.
Yep.
Facebook TPB kept popping up, and sort of I started listening to a couple of podcasts. And there was, I can't remember his name, but he was from Kansas, I think. And basically he could have been telling my story, so
Right.
it
Yeah.
was like, bang, straight away. I'm just, these guys, we need to speak to them. So
Did he have a little dog, Toto?
I can't remember, to be honest.
I'm just, Kansas.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Probably
you're
showing
good.
your
You're
age
good.
here, mate.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. So, what tools or resources, or how have you found things so far? What's been most useful or insightful?
Uh, Probably the the clarity on what we weren't doing. I think, you think that you're doing everything you can to keep the business profitable. There's a lot of things that we haven't been doing, like marketing. The old story, we think word of mouth was, we were busy. We were always busy with word of mouth, but it wasn't the jobs we wanted.
Yeah.
I think we've gone back through previous projects, and we're hitting the targets, and now the pricing was right. The margins were not too far off what we wanted.
Mhm.
It was just probably more the clarity of seeing it, and then also looking at the gaps in between where we're losing money. So your overheads that keep going when there's a 3 week break between projects and things like that. So that's where we're leaking the money from.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's the first thing is that's why we have a financials department, and every month we go through financials with our members is because they tell us what's working, what's not, where are the problems. And then once we identify where they are, we've got different levers that we can pull to fix them.
yeah, I think the systems too for me are big. Like, coming from 12 years in that commercial and civil background, I was very used to systems, and I like working that way. I did try to implement some of them originally in our business, but they were the wrong scale for what we were doing.
Right. Yep.
Whereas now the systems that we've got from you guys, we've been able to implement them, and they suit where we are at with our business stage. So
Awesome. And if you just pick out one, which one have you found most useful or had the most impact?
probably making sure that we, with our program, so I always did the program once we'd started, like, basically got the contract on the job, but
Mhm.
realizing to do that program first, implement the invoices in that program so that you can see where the money's coming in. The cash flow forecast then, ties in with that. So probably more clarity on the financials that way.
Yeah, visibility is everything, right? Like know and show your numbers and back cost in real time so that you know exactly where your work in progress is at, and then you can control it.
Yeah.
Uh, what has been your most expensive lesson in business so far?
Look, like I said, we were sort of only doing 1.2 mil in rev, and we had at the start of COVID, we had a project which we'd signed a contract for, and between COVID delays and material increases, and then also an engineering issue on the project, we ended up losing about 75K on that job, and that was with the clients coming to the table and paying a little bit more than they probably really needed to, though they realised where we were at. So yeah, to have a loss like that, percentage wise of your total revenue, that was massive. But just realizing that, yeah, if the client wants you to do the job, they'll wait, and they'll hold off on the contracts until that, and then you can refine what is fixed and what's not.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Refining that scope of works is critical.
yeah,
And then obviously your foreman needs to understand as well the scope of works, what's an inclusion, what's an exclusion, what constitutes a variation, and how we're going to invoice it as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what does success mean to you? What's your definition of success?
Uh, I guess it's just making sure that we can provide the lifestyle that our family wants. Like, we're not by any means looking for that, overseas trip every year and all that sort of stuff. We've got 4 kids that they all play soccer, and we're heavily involved with that. So being able to take those extra hours each week to be involved with that, the occasional takeaway meal or something like that. Like if we can get it to the point where we're just comfortable doing that, that's our short-term goal. The
Awesome.
long-term goal is to have a really profitable business that then, we can start looking at not so much early retirement, but looking at other investments, when other people are looking at their last 10 years of business,
Yeah.
we're looking at where we can invest.
Yeah. Investment probably in Tamworth. I hear that's quite.
Nah, sunshine coast for us.
Yeah, nice, nice. And what would your current advice be to your past self, 5 years ago, if you know what you know now?
Uh, keep pushing forward, but have clarity on where you want to be. And I think we'd never actually asked ourselves, what's our end goal? I think we sort of went into it just so focused on making sure that the business was profitable and we were earning a living that
Yeah.
never actually looked at what the end goal was. Where do we want to be? Where do we see ourselves being, and how do we get there? So yeah, just have some clarity on what it is you want from the effort that you're putting in.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing is to get clarity and reverse engineer with those milestones so you can see, hey, are we actually on track to where we want to get to?
Yeah.
Yep. And Mel, she's a CPA, your wife.
Yep.
Does
She
she work in the business as well?
she does. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to try and work her out of the business because she does have well, yeah, 3 day a week job plus looking after the kids with us and all the running about around. So we wanted to get her out of the business a bit, and we did hire the VA originally, and she took over a lot of Mel's work. But I think even as of just the summit, we sort of realised that she can't come out of it yet. Like she's still got a really important role in looking at the whips forecasting and things like that,
Yep.
and stuff that she's more suited to doing. And then we'll phase her out later on when as we grow, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I love it. A lot of members, their partners slash spouse will evolve from the recurring stuff. So from an office manager role, and then typically that'll be one of the first hires to replace who are doing that, to then quite a lot of them ascend into doing the marketing and
Yep.
running that. But your wife's a little bit different because she's a qualified CPA. So I guess it's looking at where's her genius zone, what does she most enjoy doing, and then how much does she want to be involved, hours and so forth, especially with 4 children.
Yeah. I think yeah, she's never really felt like she's part of the business, but with some clarity on what her role can be now, it gives her sort of a little bit more ownership, which, once again, since the summit, it sort of opened her eyes a little bit to that.
Nice, nice. And tell me a little bit about what your software stack looks like, or your systems for pricing and project management.
Yeah, so we've actually used BuildExact for probably almost 10 years now. Since I started the business, we saw the value in it, just for the time that it would free up as far as quoting, estimating, cost tracking, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, we did look at moving away. We had a trial with Wonderbuild for probably 3 months, I think, when we first started with TPV, but just it was all a bit overwhelming at one time,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we just went back to BuildExact. We know it, and for now, it probably ticks the boxes for what we're doing.
Awesome.
We've got Microsoft 365, which we've incorporated with the VA coming into the business. We hired a site foreman as well, so he's got access to a lot of the files on that, which is it's really handy. So between that, Hazard Co, we've been using them for a while as
Yep.
well. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, that's a good core solid stack. And I think people will only use like 5 or 10% of its capacity.
yeah,
And I think it's having something that you're comfortable with, that your team are comfortable with. You don't need the massive version of software to start with. It's just
yeah.
what works best for the size of business that you're currently at. What are some of the biggest mindset shifts that you've been through over the last 12 months or so?
Uh, I guess yeah, probably knowing that we are doing things right, but you can't do it all yourself. I think that's you start looking at the buy back your time and the little things that you would normally do on a day-to-day basis that you just think, somebody else can do that. It's not that important.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one for me, and it's still a problem, and Gareth will tell you this is that I like most guys, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the company and the building. So giving up that control of that first 80% is always difficult, like you just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah. And I think that's where the 10-80-10, you set out what success looks like. You have the milestones and the benchmarks to check in, and you're there for the beginning, the scope of works, you're there for the end, the quality control, and then you have milestones along the way, as opposed to feel like you've got to be on site every day or hovering over them, etc.
Yeah. I think the communication with the clients too. So handing that over to the site foreman where he's the day-to-day contact for them and the face that they're dealing with. I'm lucky in the guy that I've got. He sort of has the same values and he's on board with what we're trying to do. So
Awesome.
a lot more comfortable, but yeah, you still like to be part of it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's having that choice, right? Rather than feeling you're tied to it, you can choose
yeah.
to go on site. And what would your advice be to someone who's maybe plateaued or they're struggling or they're going well, but they know they could achieve more out of their business?
Just don't be afraid to ask for help. I guess I can't remember what the saying was, something about all of us, one of us versus all of us or something like that.
Oh, so like to alone you can go faster, together we can go further.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
Um,
just asking for help. Like it's not something that a lot of us are raised with, from our generation is to go out and ask for help. But I think the younger generation are a lot better at it. But yeah, just there's so many people that are willing to help, especially when you're with TPB. I was at the summit. I loved the conversations that we had because there were so many people that would say, even to me, like, "Oh, I didn't know about that. Like that's an awesome idea. Why didn't we do that?" Whereas I was getting the same thing from other people going, "Oh, that's a great idea. I really like that." Yeah. So
I think that's one of the best things about the summit is the content's great, the speakers are great, but it's more the conversations that you have with other building company owners in the hallways or over a
yeah,
beer.
yeah, definitely over the beers for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Glenn. You're an absolute champion.
no worries.
Appreciate you. If there's anything that I can do to help personally or the team can, just reach out, dude. We want you to win faster. And if you're ever thinking, how do I get my info pack done, or can I have a session on that? Or Marty, I'm thinking about structuring a buy-in with a partner. Do you want to have a like, dude? I'm here to help, and so are our team.
No, that's awesome. Like I said, really enjoyed the summit, mate. And it's sort of the only thing you need to do is probably have it for us people that live in Melbourne and the Southern Hemisphere, is maybe have it in the middle of July in Hawaii or something like that. Vinny asked me
Exactly.
that
I
same day,
like I
Taylor.
like what you see. I like where this is going. Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, just like we get that winter depression down here, and I think that time of year to have something like the summit where it actually gives you that energizing lift to push through would be really handy.
Well, anytime that Melbourne weather gets you down, just go on to Instagram and look up that account we talked about previously.
Warm things up.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right,
No
you're a
worries, mate.
champion.
You're a
Appreciate you,
legend.
Glenn.
Thank
Have
you.
an awesome arvo.
Thanks very much, mate. Cheers.
See you, bro. Bye.